In 1986, 35 million Americans went to see the brand new movie Crocodile Dundee. One of the 35 million Americans was a 24-year-old model from Virginia named Ginger Meadows. Ginger felt inspired to actually go to Australia to see it for herself. In March of 1987, Ginger hops on a plane and flies to Perth, and her plan was she would land in Australia and then work odd jobs and then use that cash to fund her travels all over the country. There had been this huge sailing competition in the city leading up to the weekend she arrived there. Maybe one of these boats could use an extra set of hands, and she stopped in front of the very first yacht she saw. And as it happened, the captain was actually looking for another crew member, and they headed out to sea. Their next stop was going to be New Guinea, which was roughly 14 days of travel away. After about a week at sea, the captain realized they were dangerously low on fresh water, and so he decided to take a detour and head inland along this river system that would bring them to this large freshwater pool, which he also knew had this huge waterfall. So on the morning of March 29th, the captain anchored the yacht, and then he lowered the yacht's dinghy. He, Ginger, Jane, and the rest of the crew, they hop in this dinghy, and then finally they get to this huge freshwater pool, and right in front of them is this amazing waterfall. They hold up their water jugs and they fill them with fresh water. When the captain thinks to himself, maybe it would be a good thing to stick around here for a little bit longer and maybe even hike up to the top of this waterfall, and everyone agrees it's a great idea, with the exception of Jane. And he and Ginger and the other crew members not named Jane climb out of the dinghy onto this cliff face. Everyone was able to do it except for Ginger. She kept slipping on the rocks. She abandons the idea and goes back down to the dinghy with Jane, and they're like, let's try to find an alternate way up to the top of this waterfall. And so the two women, they jump into the murky brown water and begin swimming directly across this pool towards this other cliff. And then all of a sudden, they hear their captain, who is now on top of the waterfall, screaming down to them to get out of the water right now. And they see there is this tidal wave of water coming towards them. It is a 12-foot long saltwater crocodile, and they're trying to climb up and pull themselves out of the water, but there's nowhere to grab onto. And they see this crocodile just staring at them with its mouth wide open. The crocodile does just close its mouth and sink below the surface. And this causes Ginger to completely panic, and she dives into the water off to the right and attempts to swim away from the crocodile back over to the boat. But Ginger only made it 2 strokes before the crocodile suddenly re-emerged underneath her and grabbed her by the waist and pulled her under the water. The crocodile re-emerges with its head pointed towards Jane, and in its jaws is Ginger. And Ginger's got her arms up over her head. She's wide-eyed. Ginger, again, was pulled back under, and this time she did not come up again. Ultimately, Jane would be rescued from the ledge, and then about 2 days later, they would find what was left of Ginger's remains.